Back to the daily grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
On the MMA Hour today with Ariel Helwani, former UFC heavyweight Roy Nelson, now signed with UFC's biggest rival Bellator MMA, joined Ariel Helwani to throw a fair share of shade on the UFC. For more, you know what I'm saying? He's got his sponsors back now. He said he's happy again. You know, the Bellator pay structure is different. Bellator's doing a lot of things right. You know, that's what a lot of the fighters who go from the UFC to the new Bellator regime have been saying. Bellator, though, you've got, they've got Scott Coker as the president. You don't hear any bad things about him. And so, you know what I'm saying? Roy Nelson and a lot of these ex-UFC fighters reveal some of the quote-unquote injustices. Actually, it's not even quote-unquote. There's some motherfucking injustices going on with fighters, but that's because they don't have the unions or the Ali Acts expanded to MMA yet. You know, the Ali Act protects boxers. It doesn't protect MMA fighters yet. So MMA is such a new sport, they don't have these protections in place. So when it comes to the TV deal and the video game deal and all of these different ways fighters could be collecting money off of their likeness, or if they had a union together, anything like that, they're behind. So the fighters in other sports, you see NBA players, football players, they might make 45 to 50% of the TV money. They get half. In MMA, they might get 5%, if that, of the, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, once the protections come to MMA, fighters are going to get paid a lot more money. But it's not here yet. And so one of the injustices that's been pointed out over the years, but it's came up recently as the new UFC 3 video game was just released, is the fact that Bruce Lee and Mike Tyson make way more money off the video game than the fighters. And some of the fighters in the UFC still would like to be in the game, even though they know they're getting taken advantage of, like Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes recently just beat Mark Hunt at UFC 221, and at the post-fight press conference, he said, I feel disrespected. I'm not in the UFC 3 video game. Two of the guys that I've beat in the UFC now are in the game, and I'm not. And you've got to think Curtis Blaydes actually has like 4 to 5 fights in the UFC, so he's been with the UFC for a while now. You would think that they would have all of the heavyweights, you know what I'm saying, on the video game. I mean, you would just think, especially the top 15 ranked ones. I don't understand why Curtis Blaydes wouldn't be on there, but it is what it is. That's the UFC 3 video game, and they're doing their Thug Dizzle, and they've got Bruce Lee and Mike Tyson in the game, and Mike Tyson and Bruce Lee's estate, they're getting their money. They're not these fighters that, you know what I'm saying, are fighting. And as I heard Felony Charles Bennett say, every fighter has a reason why they're fighting. You know what I'm saying? And it makes sense. Like, it's the same thing with boxers. You got a reason why you're boxing, but more so a fighter. Fighting is a hell of a sport. You got to put your, train multiple disciplines. Fighting is, to me, the elite sport of all sports. When you're a basketball player, you train your dribbling and blah blah blah. When you're a boxer, you train boxing, and but when you're a fighter, you fucking have to train everything. And if you want to be a high level fighter, you got to dedicate your whole life to it. It's different when you dedicate your life to fighting. You know what I'm saying? You got to have high level wrestling. You might have to start as a kid with your fucking wrestling to be an elite mixed martial artist at the highest level. Boxing mixed in, Muay Thai. There's so many different mixed martial artists that you actually even need to succeed. So with that being said, UFC fighters are, in my opinion, the highest level athletes. But they're compensated at the lowest level right now. You see people, NFL fighters and boxers and NFL players and soccer players, you see all of these people watching the UFC, but they have way more money than the fighters. But that's just because the fighters don't have those protections yet, like the Mike Tysons of the world who does now, or Bruce Lee's estate that knows what they're worth. Now, in the future, when the Ali Act gets expanded to MMA, and if there's ever a fighters union, which I think there should be, if that was here, it would be a way different story. Fighters would be making a lot more money, but we don't know when that's going to come. But as far as the UFC 3 video game is concerned, we've seen, Curtis Blaydes, as I said, he wants to be in the video. I think I had his tweet, but I can't find it, so I'm not going to pull it up. But I had his tweet, but yeah, he wants to be in the video game, and I ain't mad at him, bro. There's a lot of the top fighters right now Demetrius Johnson, #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet, John Dodson, Sean O'Malley. I could go Rampage Jackson. I could go down the list of fighters that play the video game. So if you're a fighter and you're playing the damn UFC video game, yeah, you would like to be in it, whether you're getting paid or not. Hell, me right now, I would like to be fucking throw me in the video game, you know what I'm saying? You know, I ain't getting paid for it, and I know I probably should. If they did it, I wouldn't get paid for it, but it would just be cool to be able to tell my fucking cousins, or even, you know, myself, or just the full-time family, hey, I'm in the motherfucking UFC video game, holy shit. No, I'm not getting paid, but I don't give a fuck, because I'm in a video game. Now, 10 years down the road, whenever I've got money, and you know what I'm saying, and I've settled down, and I might have a fucking lawyer and shit, I'll realize, okay, I should get paid if they're gonna use me in a video game. But for right now, it's just super fucking dope if it were to happen. So I see where Curtis Blaydes is coming from, but at the same time, yeah, UFC fighters should be getting paid for their likeness in the sport. But then you can talk about how much. You know, what about a guy on his UFC? You know, it's his first time on the UFC video. I mean, it would have to scale, but that's another topic for another day. With that being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments about the UFC video game and about Mike Tyson and Bruce Lee making more money than the UFC fighters. I mean, I wonder if Conor McGregor makes a lot more for the video game than other fighters, because we know he's on the cover. I'm sure he gets a check for that, but I wonder if he gets like a percent. I don't know, man. It's very interesting, but that's stuff we'll probably never find out. So no reason to think about it. So with that being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking D-O-double-G.